And now you know why I always have the Xbox 2 pairs.
We're live.
We are live, are we?
Yes.
Excellent.
Intro
what is going
rant.
on, everybody? Well, okay, Jez is streaming this, so it's kind of weird for me. But what is going on, everybody? This is Randall Thor 19, man with the million, with you today. Xbox 2+1. We have Jez Corden, managing editor. Say hi, Jez.
Hello.
That was a weird hello. That was a very high pitched hello.
Well, it's a weird day to be podcasting on a Tuesday, so I thought
it is.
I'd change it up a bit, you know.
Okay, fair enough. But today we have our guest, the man of the hour, someone I've been looking forward to talking about, Xbox and what they're doing forever. It was always the plan after the showcase to get this man on because he's the one I look up to, and I always value his opinions on things. The one and only Parris Lilly of Gamertag Radio and Kind of Funny XCast. What's going on, Parris?
First off, I want to thank you for having me because I too have highly anticipated being able to do this podcast because, as you know, I am a troll in your chats from time to time.
Yes,
and I have to admit, I was a little butthurt for your last episode when I saw the all-star cast that you had because I was with a lot of these people in Los Angeles 2 weekends ago, and I have stories too. So I was a little sad, but then I thought, you know what?
You get your own episode.
Exactly. I get it all. I get both of you to myself. So thank you so much for having me. And please don't look up to me. You are someone that I highly value your opinion because I love your videos. I love your takes. I love your no nonsense when it comes to a lot of stuff in gaming, and it's highly appreciated. So thank you for having me.
Well, that means a lot to me. Do you like it when I troll Jez about his love of Diablo and how all it is just clicking everywhere?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
True.
Yeah.
So true.
Oh, such a hipster take from
That is not a hipster trick. That is the truth.
It's a hipster take.
Anyways, I figured, the timing, we have you for like an hour and a half. We'll try to get as much out of you as we can. I know we're going to be talking about Xbox and all that stuff, but as you mentioned, you spent the weekend with a whole bunch of people from the community, like Colt Eastwood and Cognito and Clobril, as well as, rubbing elbows with gaming journalists and people at Xbox. How was the energy out there this year? How was your experience at, at those events?
I mean, it was fantastic. And this was the second year of this format of, Keeley doing Summer Game Fest, which he's expanded this year into a live show on Thursday. So that was great to kind of have that live in-person event that day. And then there was the Play Day media stuff on that Friday and Saturday. And then obviously that was followed up with the Xbox Showcase and the Starfield Direct on Sunday. So it was just like this 4 or 5 day event of all of us in LA, kind of like E3, but not like E3 in the sense of it felt very relaxed. I had so many just great conversations over those days with people that some of them I met for the first time, but then some I had not seen since the pandemic, like since 2019, So it was great to catch up with people. It was fantastic. And, like I was joking around, all the people that you had on the last episode, being able to, like, that was my first time meeting Lord Cognito in person, right? So that was just great for him and I to get some time where one-on-one we were able to kind of talk and just catch up. And then obviously, even though I've talked to Jez a million times, this is my first time meeting Jez in person, which was great.
Right.
And as I've told you publicly and privately a few times, you were missed. I really wish you would have been there because there were just so many great people there, and it was drama free. It was, everybody was just happy to be there. And that's the best part of it. We're all there to celebrate gaming. And that's why we do this, right? And to do it all in person was fantastic.
I think
you mentioned everybody on the show, but you didn't mention a certain Miles Dampier, though. So.
No one wants Miles.
Yeah, I mean, you got your little beef going out with Miles, So I thought I'd bring that up.
And as he even said, like last week, I mean, it's all just pretend because I love Miles to death. We actually got to meet in person at the Game Awards last year, and it was great. He's a great guy. I've been on his show a bunch of times. So, but that's the point, to be able to kind of have those fake rivalries and you rid each other online, and then to be able to meet in person and hug it out and just laugh and have a good time. That's why I love doing this, man.
Yeah. Is there anybody that, like, I know you've been around doing this for quite some time. Your star's rising. Kind of funny XCast, you guys just announced you got freaking Todd Howard coming on tomorrow, correct?
Yes, I have a story about that too, by the way. But we could circle back.
Do you still get starstruck by people that you followed for so long? Like, you just see him like, oh my God, that's Todd Howard over there in that corner. Oh, do I go up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like even Phil Spencer as an example. Which funny story with him. The first time I saw him that weekend was I was at Play Days, and I'm doing whatever. I don't even know what I was doing. I was maybe on my phone or talking to someone, and all of a sudden someone pushes me. And my immediate reaction was to turn around. What the hell? And I'm looking, it was Phil, right? But even that, as much as I've talked to him over the years and stuff like that, I still get starstruck in that way of, wow, here's the CEO of Xbox, you know. But more to your exact point, which I'll just lead you right into my Todd Howard story.
Yeah,
1000% I was starstruck by Todd Howard, because we're at this Xbox mixer, and that's, you know, Jez was there too. We're at this Xbox mixer, and everybody's there. Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, like they're all there. And Snowbike Mike and I, again, it was great. Him and I just had goofy adventures the whole time. This is great. I love Mike. But we're at the mixer, and we decided to play this game of let's awkwardly take turns introducing ourselves to people. Right. So that's what we were doing the whole night. And it was getting towards the end, and we're like, well, we got to intro ourselves to Todd. We got to talk to Todd. And Todd's about to leave. And I remember Mike had to run off and do something, and I could see Todd's about to leave. And I'm like, Mike, hurry up. Come on. And then finally Mike comes over. So we go up to Todd, and before we could say anything, he's like, hey, Parris, you know, hey, Mike. He goes, you know, I really love XCast, and, you know, and I requested, I want to come on your show. I'm like, what? You know, like you want to come on our show? And that's honestly how this is happening tomorrow. He requested it. He wants to come on, which is just the craziest thing to me. But I mean, Todd Howard is someone I've highly respected in this industry for a very long time. I just think of some of my most memorable memories, if that's the right phrase, in gaming have been through some of his games. So to get this opportunity to sit down and talk to him for an extended period of time about Starfield, yeah, I mean, just completely starstruck and just flattered that not only do you know who I am, but you want to talk to me. You want to come talk to us on XCast, which is crazy.
Yeah, imagine like, hey, Todd Howard. He's like, I listen to you guys, and I want to be on your show. I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to speak. I'd be like, oh my God. But, you know, who wants to come on Xbox too? It's just me and Jez, right? So do you have your questions ready for tomorrow then for Todd? Do you have like, you know, for the Phil Spencer interview, like that everybody loved, how much like prep work did you do in advance for stuff like that? Like you sit down
I always try to be prepared when I go into an interview, especially someone at that level. You want to make sure that, you know, you have specific things that you want to hit on. So yeah, matter of fact, Mike and I just went over this about a couple hours ago over questions that, you know, we want to ask Todd. So that's why it's so funny right now that we've announced it to the public, and I'm seeing people with questions, and I'm thinking, already asking that one. Yep, asking that one. But then there's a couple I'm like, that might be a good one, you know, and you kind of add it to the list, and we'll see the flow of the conversation, how it goes, what gets in, because we're not going to be able to ask everything. I already know that. But
Parris,
yes.
Can I put in a request, please?
Well, you don't like Halo, so I'm going to say no.
What are you talking about? I love Halo.
No, you don't.
I absolutely
you think I don't listen.
That Master Chief guy and the blue chick. It's brilliant.
Come on, you Jez.
It's incredible. It's such a great game that totally deserves all of its popularity. Yeah.
What's your request?
Can you ask Todd if Starfield has fishing?
Absolutely not. I'm not doing that because you already know the answer. No.
I don't know the answer. Skyrim
doesn't have fishing.
They put fishing in Skyrim after the fact.
I'll say this: a modder will do it for you. There's your answer.
Brilliant.
That's
brilliant.
true.
I need to know this because I want to make a space fishing boat. That'd be cool. No, guys.
Well, allegedly, you will have the opportunity to do that, and like I said, I'm sure a modder at some point will make a fishing planet, and you can just fly there and fish until your heart is content.
You know what my question would have been? Because I'm actually curious about this, because it's a game set in this huge universe. And one of the things that they haven't talked about, and one of the things that is in our universe, is black holes.
Oh,
so I was like, hey, Todd, are black holes in the game? And if there are black holes in the game, can you fly to them? And if you do, and you get caught in its gravity well, can you get out of it? Or can you go through the singularity? And what happens if you do? Do you end up in another game like Fallout or something? Like,
Rand,
is there black holes in game?
Deep. That's
Rand, I'm not even kidding. I don't know if you heard me. I literally just typed that on my list.
Really?
That's a great question. It is.
Rand gets his stupid black hole question, but you won't ask about fishing?
Because we already know the answer to that's no. Black hole, like imagine if it is. That's huge. That'd be amazing.
Like,
hang on, did he already say no to fishing?
There's no fishing, Jazz. Get off this whole thing.
Yes.
There's no fishing. But black holes, there's a black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And if you can go everywhere, like, I don't know, it'd be kind of weird if there weren't black holes in the game. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
So let's talk about the Xbox showcase, because, you interviewed Phil. I think it was, what was that, a few weeks before the showcase, and you had
about a month. Yeah, it was about a month. Yeah.
You had a specific set of questions about, like, hey, the showcase, and are we going to see updates to any of these games from 2020, studios? And Phil said we would. So how'd you feel about the showcase? And did, was Phil's, like, did he accurate, I guess, like, his answer to you? Did you get everything that you wanted from the showcase in regards to what some of the new studios were working on and some of the updates from 2020? Were you satisfied with that?
I got 90% of everything I wanted from that question I asked him and his response to it. I personally think, and I'm just putting this on myself, this is the best Xbox showcase they've done in the last decade, if not ever, because it was, the production of it was exactly, as a consumer, what I care about the most. You kept the focus on the games. And the pacing of it was good. I never felt like we hit a really big dry spell. Like, that 2 hours flew by. And then to obviously cap it off with that Starfield Direct, which that is the best long form game presentation I've ever seen.
I agree.
For sure. So I thought it was great. You couldn't ask for anything more, right? For what we got for what we got out of that showcase. And when I say 90%, there's two games that were not there, that one of them has me very concerned.
Which one?
And Everwild. The fact that we got nothing about Everwild is concerning at this point, because it's telling me there's some kind of reboot that's happening. And, there's obviously been rumors and everything, but some kind of reboot's happening, development hell, whatever the case, that they're still not ready to tell us what that game. Because if you remember in that interview, I said it to Phil, I don't even know what it is. I have no idea what this is. Yeah, nobody does. So that's concerning. The other one, which is not as concerning because Matt Booty even followed it up afterwards, was Perfect Dark. The fact that we haven't seen anything on that yet, but he pretty much confirmed that's next year. We're going to see it. So I'm like, okay, fine. But the Everwild one is concerning, and one that I'm not as concerned about, but it was interesting that we've still not seen it. And we obviously know there's been some issues going on with that studio, is State of Decay 3. That'd be the other one too. But overall, as a showcase,
about State of Decay 3.
Yeah, I am too. But overall, as a showcase for what was presented, the games that we got to see, I thought they hit a home run. It was an A for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of right there with you. I'm kind of like B+, A-, depending on my mood of the day. I didn't think we'd get a State of Decay 3 or Everwild, Perfect Dark. I am kind of like with you with Everwild, because that was like the first game revealed.
Yeah.
Like 2019, even before Hellblade 2. I believe it was 2019. It was like XO that year.
It was.
And we had 2 trailers. We got 2 trailers of that game. One in 2019 and one in 2020. And then all of a sudden it's like you start hearing rumors. I think the creative director left and it's going into a reboot. And I've even seen some like industry people like Andy at VGC and he seems to be really plugged in with some of the UK studios over there.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of talk like we won't see this game. It won't be coming out until like 2026. Oof. Which is like,
which means they've completely restarted from scratch. If that's the case, it's going to take that long.
Didn't someone say that? Wasn't it Jeff Grubb or someone who said the game was taking cues from Viva Pinata or something? Did I imagine that?
Maybe you did. I don't know.
Did someone leak that to me and I forgot about it?
Did you just give out information on the show because you don't remember where it came from?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember where that came from. I'm pretty sure that wasn't one of mine. I'm sure I read that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking crap. Maybe I dreamt it. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know.
I mean, you could be.
Sometimes
you are.
Austin Proven in chat said Andy Robinson said it. Okay, I'm not crazy. Andy Robinson said it had shared some DNA with Viva Pinata. But yeah, it does sound like it's further out, regardless.
I wonder why. I wonder like what DNA would share with Viva Pinata. I'm super curious about Everwild. Perfect Dark. I don't know. There's some games you just expect. Like I didn't think we'd get them all, but the fact that we got enough of them was kind of like, all right, that's cool. Like you could do a show next year with Perfect Dark, and you could do something with State of Decay. My thing was, where's Contraband? You know like you kind of judge the show. I want the show's own merits, not really what was there or what wasn't there. But I was kind of like, man, what happened to Contraband? I was like, we got the logo reveal in 2021. I thought it'd be coming out sooner. I thought it'd be coming out at least next, is either next year or whatever. Now it's like, well, who knows when that game's coming out? That seems
Indiana Jones as well seemed like a shoe-in because the movie's coming out. So you would have thought, oh well, Indiana Jones is going to be there, but that was no show as well. I think like there are some questions about based on what is there and what isn't there. But I think Matt Booty said in an interview that they did have some stuff to show that they decided to wait. So maybe some of these games they're just like, well, we'll wait till next year when they've got more lighting or better textures or something like that, because maybe they want to avoid another situation like with Craig and the Halo Infinite gameplay reveal where a lot of the assets aren't fully implemented and you get these memes and nasty comments, because one of the negative bits of discourse that came out after the showcase was Avowed's visuals. I don't know if you saw this, Parris.
I did.
Thoughts on it?
My thought on it is, obviously in the moment seeing it, I go, this looks different as we're watching it. But I then quickly pivoted to going, you know what? This is Obsidian. This is just me thinking from just the game standpoint. Am I still excited for it? Yeah, I'm still excited for this. It's Obsidian. I go, okay, it's not going to look like the way we thought it was with the initial reveal, but this is still going to be an Obsidian brand new RPG, fully supported and backed by Microsoft. I want that. I've been wanting that for a very long time. So I'm still very excited for it. And look, I'm biased. I know some people at Obsidian, so there is a bias there, obviously, but I still have high hopes for this. I still think it's going to be one of the big games for them coming in 2024. And I think even Phil Spencer even just reiterated that in some interview. I think I just saw it. But I mean, things change in game development. That's one thing that I've learned over the years is it's not always the first time you see something, it's going to change. Like even Starfield, if you think about Starfield from when we saw it a year ago to now, it's had a visual upgrade, 100%. You can tell. Yeah. But we've obviously seen now with the news come out from Obsidian that, that's not its final form. It's going to improve by the time, it comes out in 2024. So it's kind of a wait and see thing, but it's interesting what Jez said with Craig, because I do think that's also part of it where these game companies now need to be more hesitant about what they show us and when. And I think it's okay when you first announce the game, CGI trailer. Who cares? You're just announcing it. But the next time I see it, there is some expectation of this is a representation of what I'm going to play. That's how I personally feel when you do that. So for Avowed to be kind of in this middle ground of it's not in its true final form visually, but the game's coming out probably in the next 12 months. You need to show it because you need to get people to start talking about it. So there's always going to be a balance there. Like even Fable. And I don't even know if you want to get into the whole nonsense on Twitter about that. I mean,
it's your show. You can talk about whatever you want.
Well, I'll just say this because I think a lot of the discourse over her looks is ridiculous. Oh, yeah. Who cares? But I think even that from a visual standpoint, it was very eye-popping to me. I'm like, oh, this looks fantastic. But by the time we get Fable, it's probably going to look even better. Knock on wood, hopefully. Because this isn't final asset. So there's always a balance there with these shows. But I do think for all these game publishers, I want more quote unquote in-engine game footage than CGI stuff because I want to see what I'm going to play. I want to get an idea of what I'm going to play versus you giving me some snappy sizzle reel to get me excited about something. And then ultimately I'm disappointed because it's not going to live up to that. That's why I brought up Perfect Dark, because I do want to see what is Perfect Dark going to look like in engine. We don't know. We've only seen a CGI trailer for it. So that's probably my only thing with that is I do want to see more of it. But again, to the point, it seems like they have a plan for that and probably could have shown it this year if they wanted to, but they're holding it back.
I think there's been some kind of I think there's been a regime change about how Microsoft shows reveals of games and then moves through towards the gameplay stuff. Because I think it was quite telling that with Clockwork Revolution and also South of Midnight, they didn't do a CGI. They went straight to in-engine for these reveals. I think it's because like people like myself and others, maybe you've said this in the past as well, we've criticized them for showing off really big budget CGI that misrepresents the final product. Like I always talk about ReCore and how ReCore's CGI reveal made the game look really, really AAA and impressive, and then it comes out and it's $30 and it's barely even scraping a AA. So
I've absolutely given that feedback. I've directly given that feedback of that's why I said, okay, CGI trailer to announce it, fine, but the next time I see it, I need it to look what I'm going to play, because there's been a lot of smoke and mirrors throughout the years in this industry. And I think we have reached kind of that critical boiling point of people are tired of that. They don't want to see that. They want to know, especially the cost of games now, everything that you're investing. I need to know. I need to be able to make an educated decision on what I'm purchasing versus going on a leap of faith. And then ultimately I'm disappointed because it's not living up to what you sold me over the past 3-4 years or whatever.
I do worry about State of Decay in that vein because the CGI looked very AAA. Do we know if State of Decay's Undead Labs are capable of that kind of fidelity? I don't know, which is why I'm really glad that South of Midnight and Clockwork Revolution, they just went straight to in-engine footage because, I don't know.
Yeah,
I wonder if the reaction to Avowed would have been different if they did an engine first instead of, because I feel like some of the discussion around Avowed is strictly because the CGI trailer looked a certain way, and it
looked very dark.
And then like the next trailer was very bright and wasn't dark. Like people were expecting something in their head, right? Like, oh, I see the skeletons and the arrows, and look how dark it is, and look at the how they cast the spells. But then you actually get the not the final product, but like your first look at what would be gameplay, and it's bright and colorful instead of dark and dark fantasy, and the spells kind of are a little bit different. And I wonder if Xbox realizes that maybe CGI trailers aren't the way to go anymore, because you set these expectations and maybe you can hit them and maybe you can't. So that was but I do have Andy Robinson's tweet here, just for just to talk about it because we mentioned it. He said about Everwild on June 5th, Last I heard, it was a bit more Viva Pinata than the survival game the earlier trailers hinted at. The team there will knock it out of the park, I'm certain.
Yeah, he
So-
definitely seems to have connected sources
that's
in
interesting.
UK stuff.
So, and survival now to more Viva Pinata thing. Oh God help me if it ends up being like a Pokemon where you got to like catch all the wild animals or something. Oh man,
Well,
please.
how was Viva
let's not go
Pinata?
down
I
that
never
route.
actually played it. I never played.
You never played Viva Pinata?
No,
Parris,
I
did you
didn't.
play Viva Pinata?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Was it like Pokemon? How does it work?
God, how does Viva? You basically build a garden, and animals will come visit, and you basically will get like a two versions of the animal, and you breed them, and that's essentially it. Like your whole thing is to try to get all the different types of the animals to come visit, but each animal has a certain set of requirements to come visit. Like, oh, we'll only come if you have snow toys and this other animal in your garden, and then if you do, they'll eventually show up. And the whole point of the game is to try to get
It's
as
kind
many of them.
More like Animal Crossing, then, kind of.
I don't
maybe?
know. I've never played Animal Crossing, so I couldn't tell you.
So it's I guess it sounds more like Everwild's going towards more being like a cozy game rather than something, you know, survival games to me usually sound like more brutal or intense maybe at times, but Viva Pinata sounds more like a chill Animal Crossing kind of experience. Stardew Valley, I don't know. That sounds cool.
Possibly.
It'd be I mean, Xbox is putting together a really diverse lineup of genres. You know, you got racing games, simulation games, narrative adventure games, strategy games, and now you've got the photorealistic action games that they've been criticized for not having. They got shooters, they got RPGs coming out of every orifice. You know, to not get too graphic with it, but there's a lot of stuff on the horizon.
There is. What was your favorite thing from the showcase, Parris?
I'll take Starfield out of it because that seems like
I was gonna say, everybody's usually
Everyone
like
is doing
Starfield.
that. Yeah, don't count Starfield.
Like,
It's in the
don't count
category of its own.
Starfield. Yeah.
I mean, Clockwork Revolution would be it, because I mean, you know, we've had the speculation for the longest that what the hell is In Exile working on, and then to see that it's taking this steampunk BioShock Infinite-esque take with time manipulation at the same time, and this is an RPG if I remember reading that correctly. Yes. So there are RPG elements in this as well. Sign me up. Sign me up. I'm definitely excited for it. So yeah, I thought it showed very well.
I did too. Is there anything that you thought could have been better?
You mean at the showcase in general?
You know, because it's not perfect. Like we all agree, it's one of their best shows in quite some time. I think it's their best show since 2018. Some will say ever, but there's always room for improvements, right? Is there anything that you wish was, you know, maybe showcased better or wasn't at the show? Like, you have any disappointments?
Yeah. So let's have this conversation, because I'm going to preface it by saying I know why they're in the showcase.
I know you're on my wavelength. You're on my wavelength.
You already know. Yeah, I know why they're in the showcase, so I 100% get it. But did I really need to see Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online in that showcase, and even Sea of Thieves to a certain extent? But with that expansion, I understand why it was in there. If there were lull points, it was those. But again, these are live service games that people don't necessarily talk a lot about. But if you look at the numbers on them, a lot of freaking people play them, and they're revenue generators. They make money. So yeah, you're going to keep talking about them because you want to keep people updated on what's coming next for them. So I get it. But me personally, I play Sea of Thieves, but I don't play Fallout 76. I don't play Elder Scrolls Online. So I'm whatever. Talk about the show, something else. That would be my personal preference. But I understand of the structure of a show and the important beats that you need to hit. You gosh darn right they're going to be in there, because they're the live service games that are consistently driving revenue. So yeah, you're going to show them. Makes sense. What do you think Sony's doing?
Yeah, and Sony got criticized for it because they didn't. Yeah. They only showed two of them. I mean, that's why you're the best, because you have the same thing. It's just like, we're selfish people, right? I'm selfish. Everybody's selfish. I'm like, I watch those trailers. I'm just like falling asleep. It's like, please, like we could have had 9 minutes of something brand new. But I get it. The Sea of Thieves thing, sure, Legend of Monkey Island, but I think Jez loves live service games, so he's probably like put all the live service games in there as much as you can because I love them. Overwatch, Diablo, you know.
Well, you know, I'm sort of hitting my limit, man. I'm like trying to juggle World of Warcraft and Diablo. It's like there's not enough hours in the day for all these service games, and I think a lot of other people have hit that limit way before I have, you know. But I will say though, on the topic of Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online and stuff like that, I do think, I mean, I think I might have said the opposite opinion on the last Xbox 2 when we talked about this, Rand, but I do think actually now that maybe they should be put out to the side, because I don't know if these games are still acquiring users, you know, and if you're putting them in the show, like for the existing fan base, I don't know if you need to do that. I think like they could have their own showing, another event, and the existing fan base who are engaged will come for that information. I don't know if those games are still acquiring new users. Maybe they are, and like maybe like these kind of events will lead to more users. But that Fallout 76 trailer, it was funny-ish. But it was like, it didn't show anything about what was going to be in that content drop. That's not going to acquire any new users whatsoever. So that was just for the existing fan base. So I do agree that some of that stuff could probably be rethought, but I don't know. It kind of just is what it is at the end of the day.
To me, it's kind of like, oh, Bethesda, you know, when they say Bethesda presents, you're getting all like happy. Like, yes, what are we going to see? What are we going to see? What are we going to see? And it's Fallout 76. You're like, oh, God. All right. And Bethesda presents again. All right, what is it? What is it? Indiana Jones? Wolfenstein 3? It's a new game? Elder Scrolls Online. You're like, oh, God. Like, you know, like, it just kind of just takes the wind out of everything. Like, I get, like Parris said, I get why it's there. You know, it makes a lot of money. It's one of the things Xbox is known for, but it's just like, as someone who doesn't care about that stuff, someone who's very selfish, I'm just like, please, let's do something else. I mean, I get Parris, for another question I have for you is, this one's about the extended showcase, so maybe we'll circle back to the regular showcase. You were a part of it this year.
Yes.
How does something like that work? Like, one day you just get an email and they're like, "Hey, we want you to do something," but they don't tell you what, and then did you know what it was going to be before you went? Like, are you surprised when you get there what they want you to do? How does that all play out?
So the way that works is, yes, it is literally an email that I will get that will say, "Hey, we want to talk to you." Okay. At this point, this is the third year that I've been doing this. So I'm like, oh, got an idea what this might be. But there's NDAs that are signed. Obviously, I don't talk about in public the whole thing. But it isn't until then that, you know, I'm basically agreeing to, you know, an embargo and NDA of it. Then we'll have that actual conversation about, all right, this is what we're going to do. Are you available on these dates? Yes, no. Obviously, I said yes. And then we go through the whole, I work with their media company, and we schedule everything out, travel plans and all that. So I had a general idea of what I was doing before I got on the plane. I didn't know. Last year it was more vague than it was this year. I would say this year I probably was about 80%. I knew exactly what I was doing before I got on the plane. And then there's that 20% once you're there, like, oh, okay, so we're doing this too. I've been lucky enough to have some say-so in the things that I say, you know, as far as, that's not something I would say. I would say this or whatever. I'll freelance some things, etc. So it's been cool. It's been nuts. Going all the way back to 2021 when I had, and this is during COVID, I had no freaking clue. Wait, Expo, why do you want me to go to Seattle for a week? And that whole process. And that was way more secret, doing the actual hosting the extended showcase, to where I really didn't know anything until I'm standing on that stage reading off the teleprompter. I mean, that's how tight-knit that was. The stuff that I've done for Flight Sim has been, you know, a little easier because obviously it's just one segment in the show. But yeah, I'm just very, very thankful and lucky that I've been having these opportunities the past few years to be involved in it. And it was pointed out to me, and then I was like, oh my God, you're right. I was the only, outside of Keanu Reeves, I was the only non-Xbox employee in that showcase, which is crazy to think.
That is, the one year you hosted it, I believe it was, and you had the classic. Oh God, what was the line?
What, Danger Zone?
The Danger Zone with the glasses. Did you was that you, or was that
No,
it you?
it was not. That was not my idea.
Oh,
So
okay.
and I won't say who she is, but one of their executive producers, and she is so awesome. Just so awesome. She was the one that was working with me that first year on everything in the segments. And she had the idea for Flight Sim because it was the Top Gun Maverick expansion they were doing, right? She goes, we should get you some aviator glasses when you're on there, right? So part of it is my idea, but the glasses were her idea. So let me be clear. Danger Zone, that was me freelancing in the moment. But the glasses were her idea. And I'll never forget, they had to run to Nordstrom's in downtown Seattle to go grab those glasses on the day that we're filming, and got them to me like at the last minute to be able to do it. So now, ever since then, because every time they've announced something from Flight Sim since, I've been the one, because they did it at Gamescom that year in 2021, and then obviously the showcase last year, and then the showcase this year. So now they make sure that they have the glasses there. That is a standard prop. That's a part of the showcase now, to have those glasses. But yeah, it was her idea for me to wear the glasses and take them off. But it was me that was like, one of the takes was like, I'm in the danger zone, or whatever I said. So yeah, and it just went from there.
Oh man, I love it. I still see that GIF all the time on Twitter.
Yeah,
like you're a GIF now.
Yeah, it's just a surreal moment. And like I said, I'm very thankful that I got that opportunity to do it. And then Aaron did it last year. And then looks like now, Tina's amazing. So, to get Tina, internally to not only produce the show, but she was the one that was hosting it. I thought it turned out great for what it is.
Yeah, that's where I would like them to move the, live service stuff to the extended showcase. But it's always cool to have the big show, then like the other show right after.
Yeah.
It's interesting how things change, because if we were having you on a month ago, it'd be doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
We'd be talking about fall and like what happened with that, right? Because even now when people talk about like Avowed and they're like, oh, it's Obsidian, they'll nail it. I'm just kind of like in the back of my head be like, yeah, everybody said Arcane never misses too, and like what happened with that game, and then the ABK stuff, like getting blocked. It was just kind of like one of the lower moments in Xbox. I think maybe like the best thing you could say about the showcase is it gave gamers like collective amnesia.
Yeah,
because it's like everybody's feeling so good about the future, and they forget like what happened a month ago. For you, like their roadmap for you, Parris, 2024 beyond. How's when you look at that? Is right now we know Avowed and Hellblade 2 and Towerborn. Phil did say there's some other stuff set to be announced for 2024 that they haven't done yet. Or like, how does the roadmap look for you, and how does the future of Xbox play out in your mind? Is it great?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that, but I do want to circle back to something you just said. Going back to if this would have been a month ago, and then this just goes into the overall Phil Spencer interview that happened. So
Iron Phil Spencer, right? All that stuff that was happening.
Yeah, that was crazy. So, and this is more speculation on my part, but I can say for certain that conversation to get Phil on actually started back in December.
Really?
With Xbox. We'd been working on it that long.
Oh my God.
And then when it came up that, hey, we want you to get Phil on, and we're kind of looking at the timing of it, internally, we were saying, oh, they must feel really good about this showcase that they want to get Phil to come on. And we had a whole plan of what we were going to talk about. It was going to be about, to your point, the future of Xbox, the showcase. I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that they've done with ID at Xbox and Game Camp, their Game Camp series that they've been doing around the globe now, like enabling creators and the diversity of it and all that stuff. That's what that conversation was supposed to be about. And then the Acti thing happened and the CMA thing happened, and then obviously Redfall, and we had to pivot. And I will say again, credit to Xbox for not canceling that interview, because I was convinced it was getting out. I'm like, there's no way in hell this film's coming on right now. I just thought there's no way. And they did it anyways. And we had talked to them before. They wanted an idea of what we were going to talk about. We told them, and they said, you can ask whatever you want. But so again, a credit to Phil, credit, to their whole PR team, all of that he was willing to come in and take that heat because he knew it was coming, because he knew what we were going to ask. That was not a surprise that we're going to talk about Redfall and all that stuff. So for him to answer the way that he did, and obviously he was not in the greatest of moods, as you know.
Yes.
Which was surprising. It was very surprising in the moment. But he answered it, and he did what a leader's supposed to do. He took the hit for the entire company, because that's ultimately what it is. That's what happened there. He took the hit for things that maybe he was aware of, maybe he wasn't aware of. We'll never know the true story about all of this, but he came in and put all the responsibility on himself, which is what a leader should do. But now to get into answering your question, I think part of it, like there was a weird silver lining in all of that, because they freaking missed with Redfall. I will go to my grave saying that game should have never seen the light of day in 2023.
Oh, you and Jez agree on that, huh?
Yeah. There's even there was not an improvement in it. If it came out, let's just say in March of 2024, as is, that'd have been way better than it coming out in May of 2023, because it isn't about necessarily the game itself. It's about the brand of Xbox. That did damage to the brand, in my opinion, because it was the first salvo into next gen only from your first party studios, and you're charging me $70 for that. Not a good look. Anyways, we've talked about that to death at this point. But to your point about the future of it, I think part of it, why they still wanted to do it, and again, this is speculation, is they knew what they had in that showcase. They knew what they had with Starfield. So they're like, yeah, people are mad now, and we'll take the heat for it. We're not ducking the questions. We're standing on the front line, but you just wait a month. Y'all are going to forget all about this. That's my speculation on it. And that's exactly what happened, because there's so much goodwill that came out of that showcase. And then let's just keep it 100% honest here. When you look at some of the other showcases that were shown previous to that, it made this one look even better, right?
It's true.
And they know, going into the whole point about the future of Xbox, Starfield has the opportunity, and we will not know until we play it, let's be clear, but Starfield has the opportunity to be a generation-defining game. It is crazy to me that as much Tears of the Kingdom that I've played, and I go, it is a wrap. That is game of the year. This is Elden Ring all over again. There's no competition. Just hand it to him now. That I walked out of that direct going, wait, maybe it's not. Maybe there is some competition here. And I think that as we look ahead for Xbox, if Starfield lands the way that we're starting to think it will, look, I don't know if Jez, if you did this too, but I did the behind closed door thing for Forza Motorsport at the thing too. Forza is going to be phenomenal too. That's, again, it's going to be another 9 out of 10 from Turn 10. That's just what they do. And then you look ahead into 2024 with Avowed, and you look at potentially into 2025 with Clockwork Revolution and Fable. Yeah. And we know Perfect Dark's on the horizon. We know Certain Infinity's doing some stuff with Halo, so that can kind of have a rebirth potentially. You start to look at the portfolio of games, South of Midnight, there's stuff coming. And Aaron Greenberg told me this specifically, that like before the showcase, he goes, yeah, everything that we're showing, we're targeting within the next 18 months. So what we saw is the next 18 months. I have no complaints. If that's what we're getting in the next 18 months, I can't go, Xbox has no games. Where are the games? Why aren't you showing this? Well, if they're giving me that, I'm fine.
I would push back on that. I doubt Fable's coming in the next 18 months. Well, I have severe doubts on that.
Well, hey, I'm in the Fable, you ain't seen it till 2026 camp, and people yelled at me. So I'm with you on that, but I'm just going by what he's saying.
No, I mean, I guess it's maybe possible. It's like, all right, we're sure Hellblade, Avowed, and Towerborn can hit 2024, right? Mm-hmm. So we put the dates on it. Mm-hmm. But it's like Fable, Clockwork Revolution. What else did they? South of Midnight. Maybe they're kind of in that realm of, it might possibly, but maybe not, right? It'd be incredible. If they could get out all those games in 2024, the next 18 months, whew, you're talking about like, people say that we've been waiting a long time for games, and last year was bad, but 2021 was great. 2019 wasn't so hot, but that would definitely start to, change people's opinions on Xbox.
100%.
Right?
I mean, it really comes down to this, what Matt Booty, and Phil's talked about this, Matt Booty's talked about it, they even reiterated it on the Giant Bomb couch, of getting to that cadence where they got a release every quarter. And it looks like they're getting close to that. 2024 looks like it could potentially start to get very close to that cadence. And let's just pretend. We're in pretend time. Let's just say Fable is the holiday 2025, holiday 2025. So that would be, let's say that's holiday 2025. Let's say Perfect Dark is coming in there somewhere. You got the Clockwork Revolution. We know Hellblade avowed this year. It's starting to add up that if they spread these things out strategically, that they could hit every quarter. They really could, so they got enough damn studios. Let's put it that way. So at some point, and if you notice, Phil is just giddy about whatever it is working on.
Oh, I know. I saw that. He was Id. It's like,
I mean, because that's what I mean. That's just what we saw. And then just think about all these other studios that they didn't talk about that's working on. Think about the partnerships that they're doing with because IO Interactive is working on something too, allegedly, right?
Well, that's Jez.
Well,
well,
about
there's
that.
a little bit of like maybe not type thing. I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, that was Project Dragon, right, Jez?
Yeah, Project
Dragon.
Dragon.
Fantasy now or whatever.
Yeah, they changed the code name, I think, but I thought this was an Xbox exclusive, but it could have just been an Xbox pitch. However, the same format of document was also Project Belfry, which we now know is Towerborn. So it's like, could it be exclusive? Maybe it's not exclusive. Maybe it was just a pitch and Microsoft said no. Or maybe it is exclusive or whatever. No platforms have been announced yet. So maybe they just, wanted to get it out there for hiring purposes or something. I don't know. But I suppose there's a big question mark over that, and I guess we'll wait and see.
Well, let me ask you this, Jez. Has any of your code names not come to fruition so far? I mean, like Project Belfry, Project Typhoon, Project Cobalt, whatever. Our History Untold was. That was, I forget the name of that one.
Was Oxide, wasn't it?
Well, isn't Oxide Games making it? It wasn't Project Oxide.
I think it was Project Oxide, actually, funnily enough.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe Microsoft called it Project Oxide just because Oxide Games was working out. I don't know. But I'm still waiting to see Chinook, Project Chinook revealed. That was not our History Untold. I can't remember the code name of that. But yeah, Chinook's the only one that I've got left, I guess. There was also some other code names which I'm not sure about. One of which I think might be the new Xbox Series S, the black one with the 1 terabyte. Oh yeah, in Infinity DOK says Indus. Indus was our History Untold. I remember.
So I mean, all of them have basically come to fruition. I mean, I love IO Interactive, so I would love for them to make an Xbox game. I think it would be really cool for them. Well, speaking about leaks, Parris, how do you feel about leaks in general?
I'm not a fan. I am not
a fan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. And this is why.
Neither.
Yeah, it's so funny when we were with Jez talking about this. I'm not a fan because I like to be surprised.
Okay.
And I will never forget being in line at E3, I guess that was 2011, waiting to go into the Galen Center, and Halo 4 leaked. I did not need to know that. You know what I mean?
Me.
So no, I know it wasn't you. But my point is, there's certain things that let me find it out in the moment. Like the fact that nothing from this showcase leaked that I saw anyways was great. Like I even go back to Hi-Fi Rush. That got spoiled for me right before that direct. I knew it was coming. And I mean, I'm not going to go on Twitter and say it, but I like to be surprised. Some stuff I find out about, like I'm sure, Jez, you know a ton of stuff, Rand. You get to know a ton of things. Some things I know, but I'm not going to go say it publicly because I would rather people be surprised by it, because I think it's freaking cool, to get those surprises. So the less leaks, like I'm of the mentality when I think about games journalism, games media, when there's an actual story that needs to be told about conditions at a studio, right? Or the inside scoop potentially on what happened with Redfall, like where Schreier just did. Things like that, of course, talk about them. That's news. That needs to be reported. But if you found out that, I'll just take it back in time, that Fallout 4 is a thing and they're about to announce it, don't tell me. I don't need to know. Why are you telling me? Let me find. Yeah, that was like right before E3 that year. That was Kotaku. It was like, and I think that was Jason Schreier, but may not have been. But that was like right before E3. You couldn't just wait to let it be announced. I don't know, but that's just me personally. That's me as a fan of gaming and loving these things to come out of nowhere, where not everything is expected.
I 100% agree with you. I completely agree. I don't like being spoiled, but for me, it's a case of it's the job.
I get it. No, trust me, I understand why it happens. It's just he asked the question, so I'm just saying it. Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, in that regards, we have a question from Lee T. Sanders. What's the best surprise at a show you guys ever had?
My brain immediately went to backwards compatibility.
Yeah, that was a big surprise.
I had no idea that was coming, and to know all my games because I went digital quite early. As soon as they started doing digital for Xbox 360, I switched immediately. I don't know why. I think it was just a case of, oh wow, I don't need to get my ass out of bed to put the disc in anymore. That's great. But then I was like, oh wow, now all my games are carrying forward with me for probably forever. Like to the Xbox One, to the Xbox Series, and then whatever comes next. That was a huge deal for me personally, but I don't know if you guys have a different one, maybe.
Oh, I do. I do. I have one that comes immediately to mind. The first Game Awards I ever went to, 2019, and they showed that Series X. I was like, wait, what? Like, I could not believe that they announced it there, and at that moment that they announced the new console. I thought that was a great surprise. Love that.
That was that. Cool. I mean, that's probably the most recent one, and I predicted that too the day before. I still remember the day before. I was like,
you predicted.
I didn't know it was there. There were some weird things.
Specific.
Well, nobody would tell me if there's like a new console was coming. There was just clues Xbox was dropping along the way, and I thought it was odd the way they were acting. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if they revealed the new Xbox tomorrow. And I remember, like, you were like, no, they're not going to do that. I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's some weird things going on with Greenberg. They changed the header of their YouTube channel to, like, all their systems. I'm like, there's some weird stuff going on. Like, oh, Jason Ronald's going to be there, and he's tweeting, don't miss the beginning of the show. I was like, there's something going on, right? And yeah, they pulled it out, and it was like, oh, wow, like, that was a huge shocker, right? And Jeff kind of even undersold it a little bit, with that then with Hellblade 2, which I don't know. I know you listened to the show, but my biggest disappointment for the showcase was the lack of Hellblade combat. And it's just kind of like, I was like, come on, please, I want to see it. You know what I mean?
It's funny with that one, where in the moment when it first came in, I mean, I was completely fine with it, but kind of hearing some of the feedback, like what you're saying, I'm like, maybe, that's kind of valid that at this juncture of you showing Hellblade, is this the third time? The third time we've seen Hellblade.
Yeah.
You want to see a little more exposition into the overall game versus something that basically could have been ripped straight out of the first game. I think that's the problem with this. It's not showing you something that you didn't already get from the 2017 game. I would imagine whenever Hellblade 2 is coming out, there'll be a direct before it, and they'll really deep dive into it more so people get a good idea. So in that sense, I almost feel like this was just them announcing that you're getting it next year versus them trying to give you additional information on it. If that makes sense.
How are you feeling about the developer directs? Is that something Xbox should basically do for everything moving forward.
Again, when I talk about giving direct feedback, I did have the opportunity at a certain point last year that I'm not taking credit for the directs at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that you guys need to communicate more. You're not communicating enough. I don't know enough about your games. You need to do something where you're doing a deeper dive into your games. I for sure had that feedback that I gave. And to see that, and again, I'm not taking credit, not saying it was me. They were probably already rethinking it. But to see them now evolve, going from doing what was inside Xbox, because my whole thing was communicate throughout the year. I don't think you're communicating throughout the year. I think you're dumping everything into June. Half of it's forgotten because you only remember the one more thing. Like I even said last year's showcase, there's only two things people remember: 12 months in Kojima. That's it. No one remembers anything else about that showcase, right? Whereas if you piecemeal that information out over the year, I think some of your smaller games, some of the things that would get lost in the shuffle can get a spotlight on them. So that seems to be what these directs are about. I would imagine we get another one this year for something. I would think.
You think so?
Hey,
You think we're going to get one this year?
They just announced one, actually.
I mean, the idea.
The idea at Xbox. But I'm just thinking something like I think Forza could, and Forza's done a decent job with their monthly stuff on Twitch, but maybe there's a Forza Direct, like right before launch.
Yeah, they could.
As an example, like I just mentioned, Hellblade for sure, Avowed for sure. So I'm starting to think that'll be the cadence before some of their big releases come out. Knock on wood, every quarter they can do a direct for it, so we get a deeper dive into it. I personally think what they just did with Starfield, and not that every direct is going to be at the level of Starfield, has set a precedent that I want to see more of that. Right? I want to see them dive deeper into some of their games, and you hear it directly from the people making the games. And again, I'm not expecting 40 minutes every time on one game, right? Because obviously Todd Howard's great at doing that stuff. But similar to kind of how they did Minecraft Legends and Redfall, where we hear directly from those studios, there's a high production value behind it, and we're seeing actual gameplay and features of what these games are going to do, because I think that goes a long way convincing someone that was on the fence to go, yep, I'm going to subscribe to Game Pass, or I'm going to go spend the $70 to go get it, or someone that was completely out. Like, and you guys tell me, I feel like the perception of Starfield went from, I don't know, we'll see, to, oh my God, game of the year. People that weren't even considering that game are now the collector's editions is selling out. Everybody's buying that controller. Like it went from I don't know to probably being one of the biggest selling games of the year.
I mean, you're talking. I mean, that's me almost. It wasn't like I don't know. It was more like I'm gonna play it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it, but there's other games I'm like Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, right? There's some other fall games that I would put on the list ahead of it. Like it was always there in the contention because I was just like, yeah, I don't really care for Fallout, but I'm a sci-fi nut, so I want to play it.
Right.
Bro, that direct, I was just like, this is incredible. Like, look at everything they're doing.
Yeah.
And they haven't even shown us anything. Like, they haven't shown us everything, I should say. I was like, look at the difference between last year, where, like, it looked like this, and the gunplay was kind of like, I mean, it's serviceable. To this year, it was like, did id make the gunplay? What happened in the year, like, to the point where I'm like, this, if they nail this, because it almost seems too good to be true, right? It's like, but if they deliver on all their promises, yeah, you're talking about game of the generation potentially for Xbox. Maybe Todd Howard's magnum opus type thing, like a little something from every one of their games. The beginning of Xbox's like next gen, like the first domino to fall. Here's Starfield, and then it lays into each domino afterwards to get people really invested. And finally taking a look at what Xbox is doing and what they will do and what they are doing. It's so important. And you're right. Like the direct, just like I've watched so many reaction videos to the direct, and to see people like going there with healthy skepticism, like, it's Todd, don't believe Todd's lies, right? That whole meme, and like by the end, they're like, that looks absolutely mind blowing and incredible. And like,
I mean,
seriously,
the fact everyone when you ask people, like everyone, when you ask them what was your game in the show, they always say, well, putting Starfield to one side, because it's almost like it's in a category. It's becoming a category of its own. Like the kind of like if there's like an S tier rank of games that desirability in games, you've got stuff like your Zeldas and your Elder Scrolls and your God of Wars, and I guess now you've got your Starfield, and I kind of feel like Xbox has lacked an answer to that S tier level desirable games since Halo kind of fell off. Am I wrong? Like, I mean, there's stuff like Forza, of course, but again, it's the whole racing. It's a racing game kind of thing, right? Is there been anything as desirable from Xbox since Halo?
No, there hasn't been, and I've said this multiple times over the past few months. What is the last new IP that came from Xbox Game Studios that basically became a hit that you were excited about? And I'm not talking about spin-offs like Forza Horizon or anything like that, like a brand new IP that came from Xbox Game Studios. I can tell you, it was Gears of War in 2006.
That was a long time.
I mean, seriously. I mean, go through the list. Think about it. Over the years that they've had, everything has either been a sequel. It's not that they've had bad games over the years, but it's either been a sequel or the new IPs that they've attempted. They've not caught on and become huge hits. I know people might throw out Ori or things like that. Look, I love Ori.
Best game from Xbox last generation.
But Ori's not going to make you go run out and buy an Xbox. And that's how I measure it. Like, you hear people have been saying the past 2 weeks, oh man, I got to go get an Xbox. Or, oh man, I got to make sure my PC's upgraded because I got to play that. People, it's so funny going back to the Phil thing and what he said about the 11 out of 10. Well, maybe this is the 11 out of 10, Phil, because we'll see if you're right or wrong on that one. But a couple other things out of this, because I'm curious to get you. I'm curious to get your take. I think I've heard it somewhat, but I do want to reiterate it since I'm talking to you guys. So first thing, story time. It was so funny to see how confident people at Xbox, and more specifically Bethesda, were before that showcase that I got a chance to talk to, PR people, etc., about that direct. Is like they knew. And it was so funny at that mixer. Pete Hines and I were walking in together to that Xbox mixer, and he even said to me, he goes, I have to find you after the showcase because I got to know what you think. And sure enough, he legitimately did. And we had that conversation, but that just shows you how confident they were about it. And it showed to everything, that we're just talking about. But one thing, since I'm here, I would love to have the conversation with you guys about is 30 frames per second on Starfield. Yeah.
Rand. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no. I just want to say this because I'm debating if I want to bring it up to Todd Howard. I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind yet if I do. So look, people that aren't on Patreon, you listen to this, you'll know if I did. But I don't know if I want to bring it up because I feel that he answered the reason why, and I get it. But I do think there's a second component to this. Why not provide a performance mode for Starfield so that people that don't care about the additional fidelity can make their own choice? I think there's a more technical reason as to why. I think there's a time and resource component to this. I think some of the other things that are happening, like object, Digital Foundry broke this down too. I think from an object standpoint, there's other things in the game other than just visual fidelity, which is why even a performance mode isn't necessarily the route they want to go on console. It's almost, and this is my personal opinion, and I know some people will get grumpy at me for saying this. I heard, and first of all, it was good that Todd Howard said and not Phil Spencer. If Phil Spencer said it, the reception would not have been as well received, in my personal opinion. I think coming from the person who is making the game, telling you, I'm making this decision to say, hey, it's 30 frames for X, Y, and Z. I may not like it, but I can understand it and respect it, and you move on. So this is my personal opinion on the 30 frames. Sure. It's the quote unquote world's most powerful console. All the marketing they sold us on these consoles back in 2020 was saying 60 frames. Look, we get it. This happens every cycle, right?
Mm.
Okay, so not every game's going to be 60 frames. Let's just accept that and move on. My whole thing is this. A lot of the quote unquote upset people and pandering that I've seen, and I'm just going to say it, grifting that I've seen online
grifting.
about, you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
But that I've seen online about this, everyone that's doing that, you're going to play the game. You're going to play it. At a certain point, it is okay. Like, I'm voicing my opinion that I wish it was 60, because I do. But do you really think I'm not going to go play that game? Of course I am. Now, I'm probably going to, look, I know I'm going to play it on PC, but there will be times that I'm going to play it on the Series X at 30 frames. It is just something that at least they never promised me 60. And I think that's the big differentiator between Redfall. You told me it was 60 and then you waited to the last minute and said it wasn't. So I think that criticism is very valid. Or at least this one, you have the guy making the game telling you before pre-orders were live, it's 30. So now at least you get to make an educated decision on if you still want to play it or not. And maybe there will be people that say, nope, I'm not playing it because of that. And that's fine. But they told you. And I think that's okay. So I think this whole narrative of, oh my God, blah, 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 it's talk. It's just talk, because there's no way on September 1st or September 6th, you're not playing this game. You are. You're going to go play it because this is doing, again, if Todd Howard, if this team at Bethesda is doing everything that we saw in that direct, it's doing stuff that we've not truly seen in any other game of this scope. We've just not. So why wouldn't you play it? Of course you're going to go play it. So again, I think it's a bunch of nonsense with the 30 frames. You accept it for what it is and you move on, because at least you know ahead of time, and they didn't wait until the last minute and try to pull the wool over your eyes. Now, could there be a performance mode or something down the road? Maybe, maybe not. But I think at the end of the day, your experience right now, they're telling you it's 30. And if that is not acceptable to you, you have two choices. Go build a PC or don't play it. That's it. There's only two choices.
I completely agree, and it's a funny conversation for me, Parris, because our buddy Rand said he wasn't going to play Redfall until it hit 60 frames per second. Do you remember that, Rand?
Well, you forced me to play it, and I haven't played it since, though. So
you played it for the footage.
You put it in the Patreon poll for gameplay, and it won, and you wouldn't capture the footage, which then fell to me to capture the footage. So
no.
I had to play the game when I said I wasn't going to. And
well, you should thank me. Because now I've freed you of your arbitrary restrictions on playing 30 frames per second game. Because now you can be like, hey, I played 30 frames per second game once. It's okay. But like, at least I'm consistent, Rand. Am I not consistent on the filmic train? I can't even remember. I can't even remember what started the filmic train. But like, I'm the thing about Starfield is, it's not even a resolution thing. It's like a floating points thing, you know. There's so many objects and so many connective tissues between the game's different systems. I think that's where the CPU overhead's going. And I think like you know, when Parris talks about the scope and the fact that we haven't seen anything like this before, people often say things like, "Oh, well, No Man's Sky's 60 frames a second." He's like, yeah, but it looks like a Pixar game. It looks like a Lego game. And even then, it doesn't have the same kind of interactivity and the physics on all the objects, and you know, the persistency of a creation engine game. There's just nothing like creation engine games. There's nothing like it. And like, you know, Parris said, they explained why, and they said we're going to sacrifice some fidelity for that. And the fact that they've been upfront about it and the messaging was there, it kind of calls into question, like, why did Microsoft not know what was going on with Redfall at all? You know, but clearly, I think like they've answered some of these questions and pivoted.
I've enjoyed 30 frames games this gen. Gotham Knights I really enjoyed. Plague's Tale, even though that was 40 with a performance mode on VRR, right? loved it. I didn't want to play Redfall because they were showing it at 60, and then they said, "Oh, by the way, 60 mode is coming." So I'm like, "All right, I'll wait for that." Starfield, it's like it's 30. It's always going to be 30. So it's either you, like Parris said, it's either you build yourself a PC to play it at 60, or you play it at 30. And I'm not happy that I'm going to play it at 30 because I feel games play better at 60. But I'm not playing Starfield. So like, yeah, I'll play it at 30. But like a lot of discussion around the frame rate, as Parris alluded to, without really saying what it is, I'll say what it is. It's a bunch of console war stuff.
Yeah.
It's Xbox fans touting the power of the Xbox originally and being like 60 is going to be this, and now having to backtrack because Starfield is 30, right? But it's also PlayStation guys who are like, all of our exclusives are 60. And you can't, and your games are 30. So there's all that, because the PlayStation guys wouldn't be talking if Spider-Man 2 was going to be 30 frames, because they'd be in the same boat. And then there wouldn't be this chirping about, hey, the frame rate of this particular game. So I don't know. I mean that's
they wouldn't be saying it either if it was multi-platform, because Starfield would obviously be 30 on PlayStation 5 as well.
If it was multi-platform, nobody. Yeah, but that's the thing with exclusives; they always get the bigger focus and spotlight on them, and the bigger like attention and stuff. So you are right on that, 100%. So I don't know. That's a good thing. Do you bring it up to Todd? Do you bring it up in a different way? Do you just completely just not even mention it? Do you have like other more amazing questions that are you'd want to get to, rather than retreading the 30 FPS stuff, which you already mentioned?
And I think that's fishing. But I think that's the thing. There's way more important things that I would rather talk about than that. I would imagine if it does come up, it would be because he said something that has prompted it from a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think, hey, Todd, I know you already answered this with Ryan, but the internet wants to know about 30. I'm not doing that. There's no way.
Like, hey, why isn't there a custom Xbox Series X? That's more pertinent than 30 frames at this point, right? Wouldn't the Starfield console that looked like the controller and the headset look that just like look really nice?
Yeah, it would. And it's funny. And wait, Jez, did you go to that What's Next for Gaming thing where it was Phil and Sarah and Matt and
yeah,
all them?
Yeah. I did,
okay.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Like did he talk about it in the show? I can't remember where he talked about it, but where he mentioned basically they figured out some of the supply constraints, so you are going to get more consoles on shelves. Because I would imagine this is why you've only seen custom Series S's and not an X. I think the Halo is the only one they've done that they've mass produced. But you would think at this point, man, if there's ever going to be a time for them to do a custom Series X, it would be Starfield. Because, like you said, the perfect companion piece to go with that controller and the headset. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there just simply wasn't enough. Because they have to do this way in advance to have enough supply and all that. So maybe at that point, the supply issues hadn't been fixed. That'd be my only guess with that.
I mean, even when you think about it, there's a good chance Starfield is the biggest Xbox game this entire generation, period.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, what else could he... Like, Fable? I think Fable's going to be huge, but I'm not sure it'll be Starfield huge.
Yeah.
Right? And then Elder Scrolls... Yeah, Elder Scrolls for sure, but... I think Elder Scrolls is a next generation game.
Thank you.
I think that's on the next console, essentially.
Thank you. Andrew, Renee, and I have been going back and forth with this forever. I was like, there is no way you are seeing Elder Scrolls 6 in the Xbox Series X generation. You're just not.
It'll probably be back. It'll probably support Xbox Series X, but it'll be launching after the Series X, Series X2, whatever they want to call it. So Starfield is probably the biggest game of the whole generation for Xbox. So it's kind of like, it would be nice. But we do have some questions for you, Parris.
Sure.
Yes, we do. And I completely forgot. Thanks, Rand, for
oh my God, how do you...
Dude.
I got the page up. I'll ask.
No, I got the page up. Let me earn my keep. So we got a bunch of questions here. There's not that many, but these are from our lovely Patreons, and thanks to everyone at Patreon who supports us. We couldn't do what we do as effectively as we do without your continued love and support. And
I like how you used effectively, which you're not effective whatsoever, but
Wow. Wow. Okay, well, Rand can operate more effectively than with all of his YouTube millions. But anyway.
Yeah, I wish.
Mythic Marty says, awesome to see Parris on the show. Been listening to him since back in 2014 on Gamertag Radio with Danny and Pete. This isn't actually a question. It's just a nice compliment.
Yeah,
for you,
it was a very nice compliment towards you. You should read the rest of it, though.
Just wanted to say congrats on all the success you've had over the years of content creation. Always appreciate your perspective and opinions on video games and the industry. And yes, car can't cook. Have a good show, gents.
Well, thank you.
Next up, we've got Mikey Rivers, who says, Parris, where did you learn those Academy Award acting skills? Did you go to acting?
This sounds like a dig. This doesn't sound like genuine.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Have you been to acting school?
That's the problem. I didn't learn any acting skills because my acting's terrible, but that's part of the fun. It's bad acting.
It's all the podcasting you've done, right? Gamertag Radio and XCast. You just refine it over the course of time.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, it's like when you have to put up with people like Rand, you know, acting skills comes in handy, you know.
Please.
So you can contain the pain and misery. So the Scarecrow 1-to-1 says, good day, Parris. I was very happy to see you become the new host of XCast across both Gamertag Radio and XCast. How do you set the lines for how you talk with guests like Phil and others? We all know you like to dive into a question and get to a core answer, but when it comes to respecting the guest and trying to get a straight answer, is this something you do by feeling their response, or do you have your own, I'm happy with the answer line that you don't cross to not upset PR, more specifically, not accept Jeff Rubenstein? Cheers for the years of content, and finally glad to hear you on with Rand and Jez from the Scarecrow 1-to-1. So like when you... Yeah.
No, sorry. I was just going to say that's actually a great follow-up to what we were just talking about with me going back and forth on this Todd Howard question, because I always, the first and foremost, you want to be respectful to the guest that's coming on, right? And I never want to put the guest in a uncomfortable position of a quote unquote gotcha moment. Now, if you take it to what we just did with Phil Spencer, there were questions that we had to ask. We needed to ask those questions, whether, you know, it was going to put him in a grumpy mood or not, but we needed to ask those questions. So you just try and do it as respectfully as you possibly can. You don't want to be rude to them. So like when I'm going back and forth this Todd Howard one, my main thing is I don't want to waste time. I keep waffling. Would that question just be a waste of time? Because all he's going to do is reiterate what he's already said to Ryan McCaffrey. So I don't want to waste his time. We know we have him for a certain amount of time. There's other things that I feel would be more important to ask. And I can, my spidey sense is already tingling where I can hear me not asking it. And then you're going to see replies, which it doesn't matter, but you're going to see replies. Well, why didn't you ask about a performance mode? God, man, we want to know that. But you know what? Because we didn't ask that, he answered 3 other things that were way more important than that. That's how I kind of look at it, right? So as I was saying, if it naturally comes up in a conversation, okay, then you ask it. But I'm not going to force it. That's kind of where I'm landing as I'm talking through this in real time. I'm not going to force it. If it just naturally happens to ask a question like that, I will. But at the end of the day, you just want to be respectful about it. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. I really struggle with interviews. Like I don't know what to ask because I really think about that stuff. Like, what if I upset people? But I also want to ask questions that create compelling content. You know, it's such a hard balance to make, and you know, I guess it's something that just comes with time and stuff. Yeah. Our next question comes from James Wezo. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, mate. First off, love to see you on, Parris. You 3 are hands down some of the best in the biz. Thank you very much. My question for Parris is, now that we see Xbox first party start to deliver with a strong end of year and a stacked slate in 2024 and beyond, is this enough to start moving the needle in the Xbox console market and maybe even have a rebirth of the 360 era, or do they still need something like ABK? What do you think of that? Because
it's interesting.
I suppose it sort of stems from your question to Phil, where Phil was like, I can't out console PlayStation, right? But now I'm wondering if Phil's wrong.
I don't think he's wrong. In that sense, that I don't think Starfield alone is going to move that needle. They would need years of consistency to move that needle, in my personal opinion. And just to kind of stick on what Phil said and my opinion on it is, I agree with him because that's not their strategy anymore. And I think that's what people are missing here. Their strategy is not to sell the most Xboxes. Their strategy is to get the most people into their ecosystem. That's what they're doing. So they're saying, sure, we'll provide you a quality console you can put under your TV. But at the same time, we're also, and you heard Phil say it himself in that thing, they're now doing over $1 billion a year in business in PC market. And this whole cloud gaming stuff that they're doing. And now we got like this ROG Ally where you can play natively on a handheld. They're bringing the games to where the people are versus trying to get the people to come to the console to play the games. That's how I see it. So in that sense, the game plan isn't to outsell PlayStation. If that happens, I'm sure they'll celebrate and be more than happy. But I think it's overall about, again, it's a business. They're about making money. How much money can they make? Instead of catering to the same, and I'm just a random number, but instead of catering to the same 200 million people over and over every generation, we already know there's 1 billion people out there that are also playing games on smartphones and things like that. Let's try and get them too. And that's what they're doing. So I get that people, again, going to Rand's point, there's the whole console warring aspect of this. Microsoft doesn't care about that anymore because there's way more other people out there that play games that they're trying to attract. And not to mention, this is why a subscription service like Game Pass exists, because that can be enticing to people that are more casual as far as gaming. So, I only got to spend $10 a month and I get all these games. That's great. Let me sign up. But you got to have the games to go with it. And that's kind of where we are now. So I think Starfield seems to be the start of that. And going back to something Phil had even said again during the interview, he was like, I can see it. And Matt Booty said that too. They can see it. Well, obviously they know. They can see the long-term roadmap of games that they have coming. And if these games land quality, polished, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 type of games, their plan's working. That it's simple as that. And I think, what was it? Do they need ABK? No. I'm the wrong person to ask about this whole Activision thing because I hate talking about it.
Did you see some of the stuff that just kind of went up on Twitter today recently about it? Jim Ryan's gonna have to testify. I've seen some of this stuff on Twitter while we're doing the show. So, but yeah, the ABK stuff, it's like, just let it end either for or against.
And that's where I am. And I think what Phil had even said this, ABK accelerates their vision versus, oh my God, we're closing Xbox if we don't get them kind of thing. So I'm of the point, and I get it, because I think just talking about the Activision thing, the component that people are missing in this is mobile. It's king. That's the big prize in all of this for them, in my personal opinion. It's not Call of Duty. Sure, Call of Duty's great. They get that, Diablo, all that stuff. But it's grabbing that mobile market and them establishing their own Windows mobile store where they can have things. That's how you grab those other billion people, like my wife. My wife is not playing no Xbox games, but she sure as hell plays on her smartphone every night. So if you can make content to grab her, there you go.
Yeah. It was I saw Derek from Tweettown just put up a thread about the current breakdown of revenue in the gaming industry in the United States, and I think it was a good 70% comes from the casual section, which includes games like Candy Crush. So, and I think it's much smaller percent on core games. So that's kind of speaks to your point.
Yeah. But you know what? Well, no, we an hour and a half with Parris is, so I figured this would be a good time to end because we got 5 minutes left, and I wanted to get Parris out of here, so he wants to come back sometime in the future potentially.
There are quite a few more questions.
Yeah, I saw him. It's just like, we just don't have the time for it. One question before we get you out of here. I see you always say this every single showcase. We ever gonna get a banjo? A new banjo, a remake of a banjo?
Oh,
that was Lee Sanders' question anyway.
Oh, was it? You think that's going to happen at some point, Parris? And if so, how confident do you think it will?
So two things on that. First one, I was told directly, and I go, "You're not serious." And he was like, "No, I'm 100% serious." I was told that my name has come up internally at Xbox about Banjo and when are we delivering Banjo. That was said internally to make me happy. As they're all joking about it, but the fact that that's even said internally blows my mind. Hilarious. Second thing, I'm at the point now. The 25th anniversary is in October. If there is not an announcement, just an announcement. I'm not saying you got to, it's coming this day. Just announcing we're working on a Banjo game. I tap out. I'm done. I give up. You win. I give up. I have no more hope that we're ever getting a Banjo game again. Because if you are ever going to announce it, that's it. That's literally it. The 25th anniversary. If they're not announcing something on the 25th anniversary, then they're never doing it. I give up.
The 25th anniversary would be this year?
Yeah, October.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's Gamescom and there is, Tokyo. I don't know.
And I have to say this too, because this one hurt my soul. So again, I told you I was talking to Pete Hines at that Mixer thing. So we're talking. He asked me. He goes, "Oh, what's something surprise announcement you would love to see?" I would go, Banjo, and he looked at me and he smirked and he took a drink. And I read way too far into that. I go, "Why is he smirking? What is this? Is he trying to tell me something subliminally? Oh my God, is this going to happen?" And then obviously nothing happened. So I give up. Yeah. I give up if it doesn't happen in October. I completely give up.
Well, and on that note, I want to thank you for coming on, Parris.
I love how we end on that.
An hour and 30 minutes with you. We're going to end on the whole Banjo thing. But let people know where they can, follow you and what you got going on, since you're XCast and Gamertag Radio and you're interviewing the big Todd Howard tomorrow. So,
let me say this before I say where you can find me. You speak specifically on XCast and you talk about Gamertag Radio. First and foremost, nothing but love to Danny Pena. I am not here doing any of this without Danny Pena way back in 2006 answering my email about, "Hey, how do you podcast?" That's why I'm here. It's because of him. That's my brother. He's my family. I love him to death. We will be doing this until the ends of time. You do Xbox 2, we'll do Xbox 3 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But we're going to have Danny on at some point.
Yes, you got to get Danny on. Got to get Danny on. But I also have to say to my other family over at Kinda Funny, and more specifically the XCast with Snowbike Mike and Gary Witta and even Alana Pierce. Not on XCast if it was not for Alana Pierce. She's the one that said, "You got to go get Parris to be on." I love them to death. It's just been an amazing ride that we've had since the beginning of 2021, and just how much Mike has grown as a host. I say it all the time now, but it's true. Incredible. He is one of the best in the business. Yes, absolutely. And Gary is always the wild card, but in a great way. Because I have no idea what the hell Gary's going to say. Like this Todd Howard interview, I have no idea what Gary's going to say, and I love it. And I love it. I love that.
I'm going to ask Gary to bring up fishing right now.
And he will absolutely do it if you ask him. But I'm just so thankful and lucky to be working with all these people, and just to support and just everything that has happened over the past few years. But to answer your question, where you can find me on social media, I'm at Vicious696 on Twitter, everywhere. And like I said, I'm on Gamertag Radio, and I'm on Kinda Funny on the XCast.
Yes. So thank you guys. We need to get Parris out of here. He's got a lot of things he needs to do. Very popular person. Thank you so much for being on, Parris. And thank you guys for being here. We'll be back on, Friday for Xbox 2, Jez, with who knows what else we're going to be talking about. But look forward to that. And I probably might have a couple videos this week I'm kind of going back and forth on. But yeah, until then, love you guys. Thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.